on and join us. We're gonna have a good time. Listen up, check us out. Use the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us. There's lots of surprise for you. Fun and family with great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us. We're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock. We want to share in all you do. Come on and join us. Come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts. We want to explore your mind. Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
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 Come on and join us. We're gonna have a good time. Listen up, check us out. Use the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us. There's lots of surprise for you. Fun and family with great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us. We're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock. We want to share in all you do. Come on and join us. Come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts. We want to explore your mind. Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?
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 All right, Chattitudes.
Good
What's
evening.
your attitude? Good evening and welcome to today's show.
Yes.
Today is a very important topic today,
Yeah.
Sean. We got a very important
Yes.
topic.
We are talking about heart health today. We have two beautiful guests in the studio with us, and they'll be discussing heart health. This month is American Heart Month, so we have a lot to discuss, a lot to uncover. So before we get started, as usual, I just want to go over who our sponsor is for today. It's Farmville and Associates Financial Services, and you can find them on Facebook, or you can call Shelby Farmville directly at 240-346-7430. She has life insurance policies and retirement planning benefits for you.
Yes.
So thank you, Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby. And make
Yes.
sure you guys call her. Mention Chattitudes, too. She may give you a little break. I don't know.
Sure.
I just threw that out there. Mention Chattitudes. So, as always, we're going to start, ladies and gentlemen, with our word of the week. Our word of the week is so much fun to us, and we get such a kick out of it. And people talk about it all week long.
Right.
And, of course, as always, Sean, once again, I never tell Sean what the word of the week is, and that's cool. She's okay with it. It comes from the Urban Dictionary. And the word this week, and I got to do my drum roll. They are waiting for it. You're waiting for it. The word of the week that comes from the Urban Dictionary is get wit. It's Getwit. A get wit. So I'm going to tell you what a get wit is.
What's a
so
get wit?
A get wit is a person who follows the crowd and does what everybody else is doing as a way to fit in and to be cool. So check this out. So a get wit is not necessarily a copycat, because sometimes people get that sort of mixed up with a copycat. You know, I buy a black car, you buy a black car, you do this. But a get wit is more of a person that whatever allows them to fit in with the masses, that's what they do. Don't be a get wit.
Is that like an opportunist?
It's like an opportunist.
Almost as an opportunist.
That's an opportunist. That's the Webster's Dictionary. That's the Urban Dictionary. It's a get wit. Don't be a get wit. That's what we're saying. Don't be a get wit.
Okay.
Get wit. That's the word of the week. Use it in a sentence this week, why don't you? Get wit. I ain't even gonna name some people who I feel like a get wit. I can't name them.
We can't name
but
people.
they know who they are. They was up in the conference room today. They know who they are. And we love you. All right.
But before we go to the next fun item. I just wanted to make sure that everyone is tuned in at YouTube, and make sure you go to Box Wave and subscribe. Again, Box Wave on YouTube and subscribe. And also, we want people to call in today on our hotline. Our hotline number is here, but it is 240-719-2560. Again, 240-719-2560.
All right, and remember, Box Wave. It rhymes with box, but it's Vox.
It's a box with a V.
VOXWAV. Vox Wave. So today we thought we would do a little fun. And so today we came up with like a little quiz for you guys. We're going to put the quiz up on the screen, and we're going to talk to the quiz. Now, before we put it up, what I'm going to tell you is whoever is the first person to answer the quiz, these are true, false questions, either true or false. There are 4 questions. We have a lovely, lovely gift card for you. I mean, this gift card is superb, phenomenal gift card for you today. It is all the way from Subway Shop. And we're going to make sure you get your gift card today.
Yes.
And so I just need you to answer. And these are all about heart health. So we want to get the conversation started, but we wanted to get it started in a fun way tonight.
Yes.
Because we know that a lot of people don't want to talk about heart health. Nobody wants to talk about this, although it is the leading cause of death in the U.S. And it's very prevalent in the African American community because we're actually at greater risk. There are greater risk factors for us. So like I said, this is something that we're always going to talk about. This is a platform that is for you. We're methodically going through topics
Absolutely.
to bring to you that concerns our communities. And so we're going to bring up the quiz. So the first person, you can chat it. The first person who call and have all the answers right. Remember, they are true, false questions. And you're going to win that lovely, lovely gift card tonight.
How long are we going to give them, Kristen?
We're not going to give you that long. Because it's just 4 questions. We can put the questions up on the screen.
You got like 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah, you don't have that long. We got about 10 seconds. We got to get these lovely ladies up here. So, number 1, jaw pain or back pain could be the signs of a heart attack. Think about it, either true or false. Fiber can help lower cholesterol. True or false? Number 3, your heart stops beating when a heart attack strikes. Is that true or is it false? Your heart needs 1 straight hour of exercise each day. So I'm going to let you, we're going to just give you about 30 seconds. That's all you get, 30 seconds. Answer true or false. Either chat with us. We're going to bring up our chat line. Chat it out, whoever the first one, or you can call in. Whoever the first one is, you're going to win that prize. So this is just to start out this conversation. We're going to give you 30 seconds. All right. That's it. That's all you get. It's over. So we're going to go to our chat line and see if anyone actually, let me see if anyone
who answered the fastest.
Answered the question. Let me see if I can pull up the chat line here.
The quickest. And the correct quickest answers.
We got some hello ladies. Let me see. Was it? Look at there. Our favorite person here who's our caller. Someone's calling in. Let me see
what's the answer there?
We got the answer. I won't say it out loud. Hello, welcome to Chattitudes. Please turn down your volume.
All the answers are true.
Who is that?
Who's our caller?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
And who is this on the line? You're on with Crystal and Sean.
This is Tama Tosin.
And Tama Tosin, I know her very, very well. She's a Tosin.
All the answers are true.
Is that what you came up with on live air? And you're my sister. Is that what you came up with? All right, we're going to take the next caller. Thank you, caller. That's not correct. Good answer, though. We're going to clear because I love you. We're going to just give you a clap for that. Everyone in our studio audience is clapping for you. Actually, we did have someone to chime in very quickly. The first person on the line, someone said that my sister was very confident in that wrong answer. the answer is actually true, true, false, false. And the person who got that right the quickest is actually Tina, who I do know Tina very well. That's another one of my sisters. And so she answered correctly.
Congratulations.
True, true, false, false. We did see some other people chime in, but you probably were a little too late. So, but Tina Wilson, let's give her a round of applause. She was the first one
Congratulations, Tina.
to actually win. And we will get your Subway gift card over to you. Oh, we just love you guys. Thank you so much. You would think it was about an hour a day of exercise that you need, but it's not. It's about 30 minutes per day.
30 minutes.
And from what I understand, you don't even have to do the 30 minutes just all together. You can do them in
Split it
different
up.
intervals.
Yep.
And so that's a wonderful thing. So it's 30 minutes. And I thought, honestly, I did also think that your heart stopped beating during a heart attack, but that's not even true. So your heart does not stop beating. It actually, there's a blockage there, so your heart is not pumping the blood. I've got my nurses here. I'm doing good. So the heart is not actually pumping the blood to to all your major organs that it needs to pump to. Correct? I got my the rhythm can be
rhythm is
off.
off.
Look at it. They can't wait to get up here to talk about heart health. All right.
Wow.
And so we're actually just going to go to a very quick commercial break because we want to get them up here as quickly as possible. They are ready to talk about heart health. And so we just love you guys. Hang on for about 1.5 minutes. We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're actually going to come back with our lovely, lovely guest today. Thank you. Hello and welcome back.
Welcome back to Chattitudes.
Yes, we have two beautiful women
Yes.
here. Look how good they look.
Everybody just have on an array of red and black, white, and red.
Yes. We're representing for heart health.
For heart.
We're representing.
Yes.
All right, so who do we have with us today, Sean?
Yes, to my immediate left, we have Reverend Gail Harrisberry. She is a native of D.C. She's a minister, and she's the lead minister at the Singles Ministry at First Baptist Church of Deanwood, and she's an advocate of heart health with various organizations. She's also a doting mother of one son and a daughter-in-law and 4 beautiful grandchildren. Minister Gail herself is a 4-time heart survivor. Woo-hoo. Yes, praise God.
Four times. Can we say four-time heart survivor? Ooh, we got a survivor next to us.
Yes.
Yes, four.
Yeah. So I first heard Minister Gail's testimony when she was at our church, at New Home Baptist Church, where she came and spoke to our singles ministry there. And she and I are also Fitbit buddies. So we actually participate in challenges every week and the weekend, and I'm always at the bottom. So, and she's always above me. But I'm going to do better. So, to my left, again, is Minister Gail Harrisbury. So, welcome her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And to the far left is my really good friend, Seiea Andrews. I'm going to just tell you, she has been a heart nurse. She is the CEO of her own company. She has a caregiving service, and we love her. She's a powerful, powerful Black woman. Both of these women are. They're powerful. And I was just going to tell you that my heart nurse, I made her my personal heart nurse as my family, as heart health sort of really hit my home very closely, as my husband just went through heart surgery, open heart surgery. And I want to preface that by saying, last week I talked about my husband, that my mother didn't want me to marry him. It wasn't that husband. This is right. It wasn't that husband.
Right.
I got to come back. So they said, oh, you should have said your first one. My first husband. This is my second husband. My mother adores him. She thinks it's her husband sometimes. So I just want to preface that because I said it last week, and I want to just fix that. But Seiea has been, I have reached out to Seiea every time the bells were going off, every time the whistles were going off, and I kept calling Seiea, and she was the most perfect heart nurse, because you have to have a passion in your heart to be a nurse.
That's right.
Yes.
So thank you, Seiea, for being here. Thank you, Reverend Gail, for being here. We're just blessed to have you here today. And
Good to be here.
Yes. So we're going to start off with maybe Reverend Gail. You say you're a 4-time heart survivor.
That is correct.
Can you just tell us what that looks like? Just tell us about that.
Have you ever seen a miracle?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Sitting right here.
At age 46, I suffered my first episode and was turned away from hospitals 5 different times, saying nothing was wrong. I was getting progressively worse, more haggard, and I finally just refused to leave the hospital. And then they started thinking I was having psychiatric problems. So, long story short, because I refused to leave the hospital, and finally, someone looked at it and said, well, the only thing we can do for you is a cardio cath. Took me to the cath lounge. And even while I was sedated, had been given anesthesia, all of a sudden I could hear them talking. Now, hurry, come quickly, this.
Wow.
And so when I was being willed to recovery, I said, I could hear everything that you said. What was it? They said you had a 90% blockage. And if you had not listen to your body, it would have killed you.
Wow.
And so then learning the long history of heart disease in my family runs. All the men on my father's side of the family died before the age of 50. And as I said, I had my first episode at age 46. And my father's the only one that survived. He's now 77, but he had quadruple bypass surgery and now lives with a defibrillator. Fast forward 2011, I went in for an absorbatory cath to make sure that my stents were working. Released from the hospital, said everything was fine, and the next day I was fighting for my life.
Wow.
Get to the hospital, I had bled out, lost all the blood in my body. They had to clamp my aorta to force blood to my brain. They said if I survived, I would be brain damaged. Wow. And so I had 7 blood transfusions, 4 surgeries. They left my body open. And in the process of them trying to save my life, my lower intestine was severed, and so sepsis poisoned my body, which that alone would kill you.
Yes, it will.
And so I am a living testimony.
Praise God.
And so I had to fight my way back, learn to walk again and everything through rehab, as we talked about a little while ago. And then in 2017, I suffered the last heart attack, I was at church praising God.
Praising God.
And it came on. And the thing about it is, when you know to be your own advocate, I am never without some aspirin in my purse and my nitroglycerin tablets. And so when I felt this tingling in my arm coming, I said, oh God. I took 3 of them. I took the nitroglycerin tablet. It buys you time. And so when I got to the hospital, they said, had you taken anything? And I told them, they said, you did everything right to save your life. And so I'm grateful.
Wow.
Yes.
So I am a 4-time heart survivor.
Yes.
Wow.
Praise God. Praise God.
Awesome.
And Seiea, let me ask you, she said something key about that she refused to leave. How often we should know our bodies, because so many times we get this misdiagnosis, and this happened kind of in my husband's case where he was kind of misdiagnosed twice and they sent him home, but really he had advanced congestive heart failure and it was misdiagnosed. And so Reverend Gail said something important, like we have to be our own advocate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how important is that, even when the doctor tell you one thing, how important is it to really listen to our bodies?
So I chuckle a bit behind that, not humor of any other circumstances, but personally, just I had a recent experience, not with the heart issues, but something as simple as a sinus infection. And so where I had to stand as my own advocate and be really determined, be really assured and really confident in letting the provider know, listen, I know my body. And so Reverend Gail said something that was very key, is that she knows what can occur with her. She understands what the outcome could be if this isn't handled a particular way. Now, the rates of diagnosis, misdiagnosis, that's always the issue, right? It's not, we don't live in this perfect world. And so sometimes we do expect healthcare to be that 100% perfect where it should, but it's a layered system, and so there are flaws, whether it's information that we're given or whether it's information that they are giving us, or the way that things are just being contemplated or gathered together. So, but definitely be your own advocate. And so that's going to come with understanding what's important to you so that you are healthy, so that you're able to function, and understanding that what's not making sense. In my case here, even recently, when I have a sinus issue, I cannot even lift my head, right? And so here a provider said to me, well, let's just give you a referral. So all of us know, intelligent enough to know that any referral system takes time. Well, meanwhile, here I am 55 years old and I need to function, right? Provider, I cannot walk around looking at the ground. I need to be able to function. And so what are we going to do to make this happen for me? So it's that kind of advocating. Right?
That makes sense.
Standing strong on what makes sense to you. How am I going to function? And I am a provider. So it has to make sense to me.
That's a really, really good point.
Yeah.
We had a question from our chat. It says, I think this is to you, Reverend Gail. Why was it so hard for them to detect your condition maybe every time?
Okay, so one thing, as I indicated, I had a long family history. And what I found out also is, first of all, up until 1979, they didn't even do clinical trials on women. And so a lot of times they don't know what the precursors were. So, and the thing about it was, I didn't have the precursors. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol. I didn't have any of the precursors, but I had family history. And so when you're looking at the textbook, as Nurse Selena just said, then you're just giving me a textbook answer. But you don't know my body like I do. But I also want to chime in that I took my advocacy a step further, because I am also a volunteer ambassador with the American Heart Association and also with Women Heart. And so what that does is it gives me a platform, one, to tell my story and to continue to look at the different diseases, because there's so many types of cardiovascular disease and stroke. You know, when I found out that heart disease became the #1 killer, not just of women, not just of African Americans, but of humankind. In 1920.
Yes.
So here we are at 2020.
Yes.
Now look at how medicine has advanced.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Modern medicine has advanced tremendously, but it's still the #1 killer of humankind. So what it says to us is we have precursors. There are some that we can change.
Yeah.
There's some that we can't.
Right.
So the ones that we can, we have to focus on those. The ones that we can, and that's our diet, our exercise, taking our medicine and all that. Nobody believes God is a healer more than me.
Right.
But when you're diagnosed, you have to take your blood pressure medicine. Keep your pressure regulated. When you hear these commercials talk about fast, face, arm, speech, time, that's buying you time if you're having a stroke.
Right.
Because if you suffering a stroke and you say, because women by nature are nurturers, and so we diagnose ourselves too often. We'll say, I'll lay down, let me wash the dishes, and then I'll do this, or let me get the kids to bed, and I'll do that. Don't do that.
Right.
Get to the hospital or call 911,
Right.
because just as you were asking the difference in a heart attack and cardiac arrest, you can survive a heart attack. Cardiac arrest, your heart stops.
Wow.
So don't diagnose yourself. Take your medicine and get to the hospital.
Wow.
Get to the hospital. Now, we talked about hereditary. You talked about hereditary. But, Seiea, let me ask you, is this, and you sort of touched on it, Reverend Gail, is there something that we can do to prevent it if it is hereditary, if it runs in our family? I know that it ran in my husband's family, his brother, his uncles, all of this. But is there something that we can do to prevent it when we know that it's hereditary?
So, understanding the genetic components of having any disease that's hereditary, and particularly for heart disease, is just that, understanding the genetic components. As Reverend Gail explained, that most of the men in her family have been diagnosed very early on. And so what do? We do those preventive measures. We tap into our dietary. We tap into a fitness, keep it moving, keep it moving. We become more educated. We get involved in some of these platforms, and we definitely, anything that's genetic, when that type of component is involved, you want to make sure that you have a very close relationship with the provider. More than just, I'm only seeing you at urgent care. This is a built up, a layered relationship. You need to understand me when I'm 15. You need to understand me when I'm 20. You need to understand me when the stresses of life change. And so, because this thing could possibly progress for me. So it's taking those preventive measures and understanding to keep it moving forward.
But one other thing that's shocking about cardiovascular disease and stroke is you were asking about the being hereditary. But still, even when you have a genetic predisposition, heart disease and stroke are 80% preventable and treatable.
Wow.
Yeah.
80%.
80%.
80%.
The
80%.
earlier, remember, the earlier that you can, the symptoms are managed, the better the outcome. So early symptom management, better outcome.
Well, see, when you realize that you have a predisposition, your genetics, then that's why I said you want to focus on the things that you can change.
That you can change.
Focus on those things that you can change.
Right.
So there's a few theories where they used to tell us that as African Americans we retain salt, and so we heard a lot about that, but there's no living proof of that, right? However, I say that with caution. That doesn't mean get to dumping the salt. That means we still need to manage it. But I raised that point, that theory, because it changes all the time. So just like Reverend Gail said, you just need to keep understanding, keep progressing, keep becoming interested and involved and engaged in what's going on with it.
That makes
Well,
sense.
the thing about, so you want to manage your blood pressure.
Right.
Okay. You want to manage your blood pressure. And so the thing about it is, even though they may not be scientific results of the correlation to salt, but we do know that you retain fluid and all those things, which is related to salt. And so the recommendation generally is around 15 to 1800 milligrams of sodium a day. But what happens is you may not be a salt shaker, but there's so much hidden salt. If you love cheese, there's a lot of salt in cheese. If you love processed meat, ham and turkey and all of that, it's a lot of sodium in it. So you have to look and really count your milligrams of sodium based on all of those things. A lot of people didn't realize how much sodium is in the soda. You think it's just sugar, but it's sodium in it as well. And then the other thing is when you're knowing your numbers, your cholesterol, your glucose levels, because as African Americans, generally it's a snowball effect. If you have been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease, then you're going to become diabetic. So you got to know those numbers as well and monitor your glucose levels. And the other thing is one of the reasons why I became such involved with being an advocate with the American Heart Association is because I looked at the trials, I studied the reports, all of that. In fact, this past November, I went to Philadelphia to where they do the conference of the doctors talking about all the different things. I went to the scientific conference because I need to know this. I'm a 4-time survivor. God has kept me here for a reason.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is, and being your own advocate, knowing the different things. For instance, as I was talking about glucose level, statins, because once you're diagnosed with heart disease, they put you on a cocktail of medicines. You know, the baby aspirin, cholesterol medicine, high blood pressure medicine. Okay. Now, remember I said I didn't have the precursors at first, so I couldn't understand why I had to take this medicine. But that's generally what happened. But you have to know, if you are already diabetic or borderline diabetic, you don't want to take high doses of a statin because it'll take you over into diabetes. And so when I suffered my last heart attack in 2017, when they were releasing me from the hospital, we're going to give you 80 of this. And I said, no, not me. And so she said, what? And I said, no, I'm not taking that. And so she said, why? And I told her, I said, because I know that statins raises your glucose level. And she said, she looked at me, doctor, and she said, you've done your homework. She left my room, came back, and gave me different meds. You got to know it.
So that's one of the things, to be an advocate and understanding that you need to do your research. You need to understand. Knowing your numbers is so important. Because when you know your numbers, let me just tell you, you're going to know how you're feeling. It's you know when your numbers are off. So that's so important. And it's good that you raised the point about that, again, that layered treatment. A few years back, probably it's been about 10 years now, that most of the primary care physicians have started treating. If you're diabetic, they're going to treat you as if you're hypertension because it becomes it's almost like a sister brother situation.
I am diabetic. I'm insulin dependent, and so I do know that they have given me medication actually for hypertension, and every time I go to the doctor and I list off my meds, and I want to say, is that a statin? I mean, because you mentioned that
the statins are for cholesterol.
That's for cholesterol.
Well, they say the cholesterol is to reduce the plaque buildup and all that. Your body automatically produces plaque, so you're never going to get rid of all plaque. It's just to slow the progression down. But you can always get a carotid Doppler test to see where you are because it usually doesn't build up that fast.
Oh, now what's the name of the stuff? That's real. That's real fancy, Reverend Gail. Now, listeners out here listening to you.
I tell you,
she's telling us all about this term. You gotta slow it down.
Reverend Gail's gonna have a national NMA calling us in a minute.
Look, I tell them all the time. I've had doctors come to me and said, "You're telling them right." I'm telling you.
Now, what kind of test is it for our listeners? Because they may want to. They may want to ask for this test.
It's a carotid Doppler. All they do is put some gel on your neck. That thing run right here, and they can tell you. It's very innovative. Yeah, it's not invasive at all.
They'll tell you
the plaque build.
They'll tell you. See, but those are the tests that we don't know about. No one will actually tell. I've never had that test. You know
so this is the thing. They don't use them as baseline tests, which they should. And so this is the important piece of that, again, Reverend Gail raised about being on a platform. And so being involved, because these are the diseases that affect us, right? So if it's as simple as, if I know my baseline, then I'm going to be a little more conscious, right? For the lay person who doesn't really understand the numbers, who doesn't really understand what the plaque buildup is all about, give me a baseline, then I'm walking away with something. Because the more information we have, the better we understand. Knowledge is key. We're powerful with knowledge. So.
Absolutely.
Miss Cynthia said, "Wow, she had no idea that statins will raise your glucose level."
Yes,
so that's
will.
very good information.
Yeah.
Diamond said, "You should be a heart nurse." Yeah, Reverend Gail, you need to be a heart nurse. Hey, Reverend Gail has gone to the doctor's office. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying no more. I'm not messing with Reverend Gail. Reverend Gail,
I'm here to tell you.
Last week with my husband, I should have been
right. So then, hook up with Reverend Gail and go start going to these conferences.
I'm telling you, if I see a conference, I am. Oh yeah, even with CPR, you know, you see now, especially with diseases and things like that, people don't want to give you CPR. But now we're moving to hands only. We have hands only CPR. Staying alive. That's right. Those are the beats. Somebody dropped down. And then also when you go into facilities and all, check and see if you see an AED so that you can, a defibrillator. Somebody dropped down, they need it. You know, because time is key. This whole thing. You know, if you suffer a stroke, you have a 3-hour window in which to get to the hospital. And there are drugs that they can give you to reverse it or at least minimize the debilitating effects. But if you go outside of that window, they can no longer give it to you.
And that's a ministry moment for us because, you know, we go into a large population every week, sometimes twice a week. And Reverend Gail is a key example of someone who became ill at her church in a ministry. And so it's important to be able to know that there needs to be a chain of survival that is in place, and so that needs to be adhered because that window of time, and we're talking 3 hours with apparatus, so we have to wean out the first 45 minutes that we don't have any apparatus. It's all hands on, so it's very important. If I could just give a couple of resources, just that, because you know, I know there's so many different social media platforms, but a lot of African American heart disease information and just heart disease information. Period. www.heartorg / African Americans Heart Disease Stroke. A lot of information. Definitely www.cdc.gov heart disease. Health.clevelandclinic.org. we have Cleveland Clinic here now. So much research. A lot of the hospitals are partnering with them. One of the things I will say is that here in the DMV area, we have some amazing cardiologists, amazing cardiology care here, and a lot of brown people in cardiology. A lot of brown people in cardiology. That makes a big difference for us. So
they understand our plight a lot better.
They understand our plight
a lot better.
They do. So it makes a difference. It does. Definitely makes a difference.
That's so good. But just speaking of African Americans, why are African Americans at greater risk?
Well, for cardiovascular disease, it's not just African Americans, it's Latino and Hispanic as well.
Oh, all right.
So it could be demographics. But see, one of the things is, and you probably will have to have another conversation because, like this area, the Washington, D.C., the DMV, this is a very wealthy area. Okay, but we live where there are food deserts. What am I saying about a food desert? There are not grocery stores that have produce and stuff that are affordable. So the thing about it is people will opt to go to McDonald's to get the 2 for $3, you know, hamburgers and cheeseburgers because it can feed their family. You know, so we live in that area. So those are the things, and that's what preempts us going into being diabetics. You know, they say this is the first generation that the parents are going to outlive their children.
Yeah, because the youngest, the diabetics are so younger now. And so to raise that point about the supply of healthy foods is that because this is an urban area, and so what they stock for us is really different, right? And so we don't get that. Now, there is a decrease in this heart disease in our communities because people are more intelligent. There's more information. People are connecting with healthcare systems. Healthcare systems are making some major leaps and bounds with being able to do outreach in communities so that people are getting that information. But one of the key things I pulled from CDC is that the food in the urban grocery stores are just different, the quality, and it's not affordable. And so there's always a social economic variance that creates
the only thing I would say is this: the key, rather than because is bottom line is if you can live without canned foods, do it.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can live without canned foods, do it.
Yeah.
Lots of
Stop
sodium.
using
Frozen
that.
vegetables are just as healthy if you can't get with the fresh.
And I'm the
Just
frozen.
really do away with the canned goods and then the processed meats because they have a lot of sodium and
Have a lot
salt.
of sodium.
Now, the thing about it is we don't ever want to feel just deprived and not having anything. You can have some
Right.
things in moderation.
Right.
But I'm just saying, as you said, a baseline, just do away with canned goods because they have to put a lot of sodium in it to preserve them.
Right.
Right? You know, if my mom is watching, she'll laugh. But you know, like some of the seniors or older people, they lived off of it.
stocked up.
That's
But
right.
they stocked it for the winter, you know, not
winter.
knowing what. And my mother said, "Oh, just rinse." She opened the can, rinse them off. I was like, "Mom, but it's been sitting in salt. You
Forever.
don't, yeah, so you don't
Right.
rinse that salt off.
Right.
So just don't go with the cans.
Absolutely.
Please go with the frozen or the fresh as best as you possibly can."
I'm cleaning out my cabinet today.
So they say if you
shop
open up that
around.
can, you're going to be rinsing until retirement.
Oh, wow.
That's how much sodium is
Yeah.
in it.
So I've always heard that if you shop around the perimeter of the grocery store, that's where your healthiest foods are.
That is true.
Yeah, and
That
everything
is
in the
true.
middle.
Because it's a marketing,
Right.
And to say, I will add that it doesn't have to be an expensive, meaning that there's all of this, diet pushing and market pushing of so many different products and so many
And they don't
different
have to be the
organics. It doesn't have
organics
to
and all
be
that. Yeah, no.
It just needs to be very
And watch your
colorful,
sales
very,
ads.
very healthy and very balanced.
Yeah, watch
Yeah.
your sales ad. But I wanted to key in on something else you mentioned, Nurse Selena, and that is the numbers are going down.
Yeah.
Even though heart disease is still the number one killer of humankind, when I suffered my first episode, stroke was number 3, and it is now down to number 5.
Yeah.
And it's because, as Nurse Selena said, it's because we're getting more information out, we're doing more things. And like when you have events at your church or health fairs and things of that nature, and you contact the Heart Association and ask for a representative to come and speak and to bring literature, we don't charge for that. We come out because we want you to know.
Yeah.
We want you to make healthier lifestyle choices and changes. We want people to live longer. The Heart Association's mission is to reduce the number of deaths as it relates to cardiovascular disease and stroke. You know, so that's what our mission is. And so we don't charge for anyone coming. We come out and do it, and we're grateful to do it because if we can save a life,
Right.
it just might be yours.
Yeah,
Amen.
correct.
Right.
Come on,
Right.
it just might
So
be
it-
yours.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's very important.
And
Wow.
one of the committees that I sit on, we talked about the misdiagnosis. But one of the committees that I sit on for patient safety is we put a big focus on that return admit, those readmits for some of those same chronic disease management cases, like your hypertensions and your stroke and your diabetics. So when those people are sent home, when patients are sent home, it's a whole family educated process.
Right.
So there's a lot of effort that's being made into just bringing the community together and understanding that correlation of information and outcome.
Okay.
And the other thing, something so simple as who knew that pain increases your blood pressure?
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew that. Yeah.
Pain increases your blood pressure. And so a lot of times people just want to pop pills, but your blood pressure is elevated.
Yeah.
The main thing is you want to control that. Change, control.
Right.
Yeah.
What about stress?
Is that a
You
fact?
gotta know
Yeah,
your stress.
That's a risk factor.
Yeah.
That's a risk
That's a
factor.
risk factor.
Yeah, that's
you
a
got to
risk
know your
factor.
stress and how to relieve those stresses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, quick question. I want to go back to Reverend Gail when you said your first episode. So when you went, you said you knew your family history and you didn't have any of those signs, precursors. So what exactly, and I may have missed it, but what was the exact symptom you were feeling when you said you knew your body? What was going on with you?
And see, I didn't have the chest pain. That was the thing. So remember I said they didn't do clinical trials on women. So we present differently than men as it relates to heart attacks. So but I would have tingling in this left arm.
Okay, you can think.
I had and remember someone mentioned about the jaw. Oh, the questions.
Yeah,
One of the
the
questions.
questions.
Yeah, and the
Right,
questions
right,
about the jaw pain or the back pain
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know if you all saw this. This was a few years ago. I was interviewed by Jennifer Donlin. She used to be on ABC 7. She suffered her heart attack right on air.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was having the jaw pain and she was ignoring. She thought it was, my wisdom tooth is really bothering me. And so she didn't go see about it. Suffered her heart attack right on the air.
Wow.
So women, The symptoms are different. Typically, we'll get some pain across the back. Sometimes it's really shortness of breath, that fatigue, tired, the jaw pain, the tingling, just kind of sometimes under the breast cage a little, just kind of, I'm feeling kind of, not really sure what that is. Right. Women typically show up like this, right, to the ER for heart. Men are just going to be clenched over, chest holding, and driving themselves in like, I'm just not feeling well. So you got to know the symptoms. I would just say,
and even if you don't, I'm sorry to cut you off. Even if you don't know the symptoms, go to the hospital.
Go to the hospital. That was going to be my next word, literally out of my mouth. You dug in here. Listen, any malfunction requires attention. It's like the smart TV, the smartphone, the car. If it malfunctions, you have to give it some attention. Yeah.
And is it important? I know that one of my family, I know anxiety. So I know that does that sometimes present like you're having a heart attack? Because I know there's a lot of pain, like physical pain. It could just be anxiety. And when they've gotten to the doctor, they say, no, there's nothing wrong with your heart or anything, but it almost presents like a heart attack.
Because of the racing of the heart that happens with anxiety, some of that fast breathing, you get into kind of that straddle breathing with anxiety, that real quickness, right? So when we talk about heart disease, we said many different symptoms, right? The difference, well, I'm not going to say that, because if there's any abnormal malfunction, then we need to just have it addressed. Look, it's okay if they tell you it's anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
You
rule it out. You rule it out. You just rule it out. But remember, I was turned away 5 times saying nothing was wrong. So you can't even go by that. You have to really know your body.
So with them turning you away, what test what test did they
They did the heart test. In fact, the first time I went, they kept me overnight with a heart monitor. Released me, said nothing was wrong. I accepted it that first time. The second time I went back, they gave me a prescription to go get a stress test. I went, got the stress test, passed it with flying colors, and the next day I was back in the hospital, back in the emergency room.
So what is it called when a EKG?
So the EKG, I was just going to say, so when Reverend Gail talked about, they did the heart monitor. So they put you on the heart monitor, and so it's just a constant monitoring of the rhythm. And we talked about the beats, the difference of beats and rhythm when we said, does the heart stop in one of the quiz questions. And so sometimes, and that can be a little tricky, especially if there's some kind of underlying genetic, because a rhythm is like, it's almost like music. So you get your P, Q, R, S's, what's holding, and just like the music signs, right? This rhythm of what's holding and release. And so the body is funny, and especially for women, because sometimes we can hold and look, you can put that heart monitor on me right now, but I'm just going to calm myself down because I have a 4 o'clock nail appointment next week, and I'm making that, right? So we just put ourselves, so the rhythm kind of, so it can be very tricky. A lot of things that I love this improved testing now with the Doppler studies, with the troponin levels, some of those more increase in intensified chemistry blood levels that they're going to be looking for. And so most of these healthcare communities and facilities and emergency rooms in our area have they have a protocol, right? So if I'm going to get an EKG, I'm going to get a troponin level. If I'm going to get a troponin level, I may have to go ahead and get a Doppler study. So usually there's some kind of, some of the advancement now that there are some protocols and baselines, and they're, if you're over 50, automatic, they start treating you like a heart attack, right? So those are, some of the advancements have really kind of made improvement in.
The other thing I want to say is, when you call 911, you just want to get to a hospital to get help. But we do know that there are certain hospitals that are cardiac institutes. And so you want to, if it's a heart episode, you want to try to get to a hospital that has a heart institute because they have the more advanced medicine techniques, doctors and all of that there to help you. I'm not saying not go to others because they can. One of the things is in 2011, when I suffered the greatest, I was taken to Prince George's. And Prince George's is not necessarily a Heart Institute hospital. And people talk about Prince George's Hospital all the time. I'm not plugging Prince George's Hospital at all. But I am saying, but the thing about Prince George's and what saved my life, it was a trauma center.
That's it. That's it.
Trauma
Yeah.
center.
A trauma
Trauma
center.
center.
Okay.
And because it was a trauma center, they will work on your body until it is absolutely, positively not an ounce of life left in it.
Wow.
It's the level of care.
Okay.
And that's another
Oh,
ministry
okay.
moment for us. Because we frequently have to utilize it. And so just never give any pushback of being sent to
Prince
at
George's.
least a facility to be
Right.
able to be stabilized.
Exactly.
There are always
'Cause
some
that's key.
decisions that can be made later.
Right,
But
right,
yeah,
right.
when you have a shock trauma center that's sitting in the middle of your county,
Yeah.
that is somewhat of a privilege.
Okay.
It's
I was
a big
medevaced
privilege.
from Doctors Community Hospital to Tacoma, 8 miles, $8,000. But when I got there, my doctor, my cardiologist, met me at the helicopter and took me straight into surgery.
Wow. Awesome.
So it's important.
That's very important.
So when you say 8,000, is that out of pocket expense? Because now this,
did the
'cause we were
insurance
just talking
cover
about
that?
My insurance covered it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it is
Awesome.
covered by
Yeah,
insurance.
Yeah,
Okay.
my insurance
Yeah.
covered it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to kind of, because we get ready to run out of time. I hate this. Really I know. We just getting into
We're here till midnight.
So Reverend Gail and I was talking just offline about cardiac rehab and how important that is.
Oh,
Once
it's
you
so
do suffer
important.
this and you go into and you finish, my husband, like I said, had open heart surgery and now he's in the cardiac rehab phase. How important is cardiac rehab?
Cardiac rehab really is important
Okay.
because it gets you back into the swing of things. You get all of your rehab, your therapy, physical therapies, and all of that, and so it's very helpful. I would recommend it. I definitely would recommend it,
absolutely.
especially if you have insurance that covers it.
Yeah. It seals
It
the
could,
deal.
if you have insurance that covers, please don't pass it up. That is very, very beneficial to anyone recovering, especially if you've had open heart surgery. Now, sometimes people that have insurance that perhaps it doesn't cover, it can be costly. But there are other avenues you can look out and reach out to organizations or whatever to look for assistance and help with it.
Yeah.
You know, depending on how severe your case is, they may want to help reach out to you and help you. So don't just discredit or count it off because you don't, you can't afford it.
Right.
Because it's definitely benefit to having cardio rehab.
And I would just add that cardiac rehab brings the realization to the practical side of it that you begin to see people like yourself. Like this has been a process for someone else, and that it seals the deal. It would be just like getting a major car repair and then not going back to check it to complete the process. So
Right.
very important piece.
Right.
Very important.
And if you can't afford cardiac rehab, then, you know, I'm not saying you have to join an expensive fitness center or anything like that, but you want to sit down and write out a plan for your daily regime, what you're going to do for as far as your eating, your exercise, of course, drinking plenty of water. You want to sit down and you want to do those things. And it doesn't necessarily involve an expense, but you just want to make sure that you're doing those things.
And while we're doing that, because we don't have much time left, but I want to jump over to the caregiving side. So once a person has had a heart attack or suffer from cardiovascular disease or symptoms of open heart surgery, in my case, let's talk about the caregivers real quick, because the caregivers need assistance too.
So that's a good point. And whenever I found myself involved with a patient, I always begin to, because that patient's going to get what they need, right? And so once you have that situation stabilized, it's very important to give the caregiver to do a check-in where they are. Are you eating? Are you resting? How are you feeling? How much is this stressing? Because there are many cases where, and statistics will show that the caregiver can now
Get burnout.
get burnout and get as ill and become more chronic than the actual patient. So it's a very important process, and just to always make sure that the caregiver is getting a checkpoint.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
always.
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
especially because the caregiver is taking care of someone that they're attached to. So there's a level of anxiety that is very different from if you just roll a patient in. Still a good level of care, but that anxiety is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can attest to it. I know there's a stigma sometimes in the church community, in the faith-based community, that we don't need therapy because we got God. I'm just telling you, I need some therapy. Therapy is always good. Therapy is good, and just support groups are really, really good.
That was one of the things that I felt necessary to develop a program to train caregivers at home.
Right.
So it's a big piece. And I would just add that don't wait until a loved one needs you because of a chronic illness or something like that. It's the whole relationship management all the way through.
All the way through.
You know, keep a healthy heart by managing the whole process all the way through. Because it can be very hard to be a caregiver for someone you have no heart connection to. And that person does not receive the care.
Right.
And that's a whole nother. That's why I said we'll be here till 9, right? Can't care for you if I'm not connected to you, and the patient's not going to receive that.
Right.
So we always talk about institution care, but that home care can be,
Wow.
So caregivers, be careful. Be careful.
Very good. That's good information. Great information. People have been buzzing, saying it's been great information. God bless you, Reverend Gail. People say, you know, to God be the glory.
Amen.
Hallelujah,
God.
Amen. I'm rubbing on this rib.
I'm trying to get some of that myself.
God is a good God. That's all I know. Wow. He is a good God. But you know, we do the best we can and leave the rest to God.
That's it.
You have to do the best you can for yourself, but then leave the rest to God.
Leave the rest to God.
Amen.
That's wonderful.
Right. And real quick, I just wanted to mess with somebody. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Reverend Tasha Harris. Hey, Reverend Tasha. She's head of the Facebook group Fit to Fight in the Kingdom. And I just wanted to say thank you for always encouraging us to always keep fit.
Support.
Yes. Always supporting. So real quick question for Minister Tasha. When are we going back out on the bridge? When are we going back on the bridge? Because that's actually what works. Because it really messed me up. Because I remember Minister Gail actually helped me out because I got dehydrated or something. Yeah. So, but anyway, we need to get back out there. Just want to put that out there real quick.
You know, I used to do it every morning.
Really?
Yeah. I did it every morning.
Wow.
So our listeners, if you want to walk the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, you know, get in contact with us. We're going to get in contact with Reverend Tasha.
Yes.
We're going to
get out there.
And then as you said, Sean,
she's going to park on the Virginia side.
I got up to running that thing.
I know, I did too.
Oh, yes.
Good for you.
I running it.
At one point.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, Sean and I do Fitbit challenges every week. And you know, seriously, the American Heart recommendation is 10,000 steps a day.
This is
right.
Or 30 minutes of vigorous exercise daily, at least 5 times a week. But I made my goal 12,000 steps just because I wanted to be exact 5 miles.
Right.
But the thing about it is when you have accountability partners, even though you don't see them, but we get in these Fitbit challenges and things like that, it really makes and helps you get through the challenge. It does. It really helps.
That's key.
To do better.
We're gonna pray for Sean, who's been at the bottom of the Fitbit challenge. She's gonna raise up. Sean is gonna raise up, so everybody's listening.
I'm coming next week.
Sean is coming up.
I'm coming up next week.
Sean is gonna get prayers. Sean coming up on the Fitbit challenge. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that ends our time. We actually just going to have a quick break, and me and Sean are going to come back to you with our victory viewpoints, how we end every single show. And we just want to just thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Everybody.
Thank you.
We so appreciate it. Great information. Everyone said it was great information. We just thank you, and we love you.
Have us back in May, because May is National Stroke Month.
Oh, wow.
So have us back.
Okay. Yeah, we need to know those signs.
Right.
We're appreciative. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Chuck. Talk to me, Pastor Mitchell. I don't know about you, but I've had all kinds of friends in my life. I think I've been right down that road with you. Yeah, I had some them so-called friends. Yes. When trouble came, they went the other way. Tell me about it. But one thing I'm glad about, that ain't a friend like the lonely Jesus. No. Well, can't nobody come on do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. He's my friend. Jesus healed my body. Well, he told me to run on. Jesus is my friend. Well, you know he picked me up and he turned me around. Jesus picked me up, Lord, he turned me around. I said, Jesus picked me up and he turned me around. Jesus is my friend. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like Jesus.
I don't know where I'm looking at.
At this camera up here.
Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back. We're here for our victory viewpoints.
Yeah, so we all know someone directly or indirectly with a heart disease. Some develop by genetics or even by lifestyle. In either case, I believe God wants to use such adversities as an opportunity for us to make better health decisions. For we do have a responsibility to be good stewards over our bodies as a form of worship to God who created us.
1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20 says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." Ladies and gentlemen, this is it for heart disease. But like they said, they'll be back again. We're going to talk about strokes most definitely. But next week, make sure you tune in because we got a hot and heavy subject next week.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about child support. We got men in here that's talking about they on papers and they shouldn't be on papers. But we don't know.
It's going to be a
Is it
challenge.
fair?
It's gonna be
Is it not fair? We're going to talk from the women perspective. We're going to talk from the men perspective. So we hope to see you next week. See you later. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Love you.
Yes.
Come on and join us. We're gonna have a good time. Listen up, check us out. Use the hotline number to chime. Come on and join us. There's lots of surprise for you. Fun and family. Big, great fellowship too.
Crystal and Sean have exciting words. I'm sure there's something that you've never heard. Sunday at 6, it's an excellent mix. We got spiritual flair, special guests will be there.
Come on and join us. We're here and waiting for you. Connect with us at 6 o'clock. We want to share in all you do. Come on and join us. Come right here and find. Connect with us and share your thoughts. We want to explore your mind.
Chattitudes, Chattitudes,
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes,
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes,
What's your attitude?
Chattitudes, Chattitudes.
What's your attitude?